Hello, hello. Today we're trying something a little bit new. We have a new video series, a new format where we're talking about Dead by Daylight news. I'm going to call it News by Daylight. Yeah, no, I don't know, but that's what we're going with right now. And when I say talk, I mean talk. There is no script. We are just chatting. We're having a conversation about the DBD community. Today we're going to be talking about the 5.7.0 update. Right now it's in PTB, which if you don't know what the PTB is, as us cool kids call it, it is the public test build. And the public test build is basically a beta. So they release this and anybody can join. It's not, anything you need to be invited to or anything like that. Very simple to do on Steam. But they release that when they have something big going on in the game that they want to test out before it's officially released. And that includes things like big chapter releases, so when you have like new killers and new maps and stuff like that, but also when they're just making a big update to the game, like this one. So we're going to start off by talking about something that I know maybe won't seem like a big deal, but it's something people have wanted for a long time, and that is the patching. So it's been a complaint for a while that the amount of time it takes and the amount of space it takes to update the game is just too much. So they've listened and they said they were going to fix it. Apparently they've done it, and they have done some patching optimization. So the dev notes do say that because of this, when they release the update, you're going to expect to have to re-download the game, but future updates will be faster than before. So that's some good news. This also does include the PTB, so whether you've opted into it or not, you're going to have to do that re-download. But you know what? One more re-download for the futures, for faster changes. Hey, you know what? It's a good thing. It's a good quality of life update in the game. So now on to some of the more exciting stuff. Everyone's favorite map is back. Yes, your favorite house, your favorite road, it's back in action. We have Haddonfield. It's been gone for a bit now because they were reworking it, so you couldn't even use the offering. But they've reworked it. They've changed the graphics. It looks amazing. I'm so happy with it. I'm impressed. They did a great job. The atmosphere is very spooky, and they did a great job on just the graphics in general. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hated Hawkins Lab, and I just did not enjoy it as a map. But I did enjoy how they made it. So if you'd ever watched Stranger Things, you can appreciate it as well. They did a really good job getting the feel of the lab and actually putting in details that were in the show into the map, and I really enjoyed that. So they actually did that in this Haddonfield map as well, and they did a fantastic job, probably even better than they did with Hawkins, so I'm very impressed with that. And I'm sure if you're a Halloween or Michael Myers fan, you'll appreciate that as well. So yeah, the map itself looks fantastic. The atmosphere is great. They did change the map a bit. It's got the same feel to it. Like they definitely kept like the base of the map. So this is probably what they were kind of going for beforehand, but now they've put more into it and they've created what they wanted to from the beginning. So you still have a few houses. I think there's less houses than there was in the original Haddonfield map, and they're more spread out. But everything is a little more realistic, and you have houses that actually have proper house layouts now. They're not like these weird houses that don't make any sense. And there's actual house items in there. Like you have furniture, there's good detail. Okay, we'll just put it that way. You'll also find that the houses are a really good place to loop. And the map is pretty dark, so there's a lot of spaces, especially in the houses, where you can hide. There are even some rooms that are kind of like trap rooms, so they're either a really good place to hide, or if you're being chased and you make a wrong turn, that's it, you're done for. So there's some really interesting looping situations going on in and around the houses on this map. But you will find that just like the original, the road in the middle of this map is a dangerous place. And I used to think in the old map that it was a dangerous place to be. But there were places you could hide. There were the barricades on either side of the road. There were trees, there was grass, there was all kinds of things happening And the street itself was pretty narrow, and it, much more than it would be in real life. I know it's a video game, but if the scale of this newer map feels more realistic. And I think that you'll find that when you're in it as well. But in the updated map, you'll also find that, say, like those barricades at the end of the road, you know how they used to be like big cement blocks, they're not there anymore. They're actually like those like I don't even know what they're called, like construction fences that they put up just to like warn you, the orange wooden planks on them, like very flimsy, you can see right through them, like there's no cover there at all. That's what they are now. There are, some vehicles on the road. There are also some pallets, both actual pallets you can drop down, but then also like big construction pallet type things that you can hide behind. But for the most part, there's a very big open dead space there, so it's dangerous. And I don't know if it's just because the map is new and I'm not used to it, or it could just be because if I'm just not skilled enough, that's really honestly probably the case. But I have had a lot of trouble on this map, and it might be because the map seems very suited to stealth killers, and I've been obviously playing against a lot of stealth killers in this PTB, and you'll find out why in a moment. But yeah, I've had some trouble, but it is a good map, and I'm thinking that with time, it'll get better. If I was better at looping, I'd probably enjoy it a little bit more. There's definitely some interesting looping situations you can get into there. But as a killer, I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed it as a survivor, but I had some rough matches. We'll just put it that way. So you have to let me know what you think about the new Haddonfield down in the comments, because I'm really interested in seeing what you guys think about it. It does feel very balanced to me. It does look balanced. You have that big open area, which is great for killers, but then you have all of the like hidey hole spots in the houses. So, it's a good mix. I think it's a good balance. Next up, we have our killer changes. That's right, we've got 2 killer changes, and these are killers that they needed the buff. They needed the changes, and I'm so happy that Behavior listened, and they're making these changes. I'm happy with it. It's good. They're good changes. So first up, we have Ghosty. We have our Ghostface. Yes, we love him. He's gotten some changes. He's been reworked a little bit. And also, you'll have to forgive if you can hear hear the wind in the background. It's very, very windy here today, but I wanted to get this done for you guys, and it is what it is. I'm sorry. But Mr. Ghostface here, before this change, if you successfully stalked a survivor, you only had 45 seconds of exposure on them. And if you don't know what exposure is, or exposed as the status effect is actually called, it's when you can down someone in one hit. So you take them from healthy to the dying state. So now with these changes, a successfully stalked survivor will be exposed for 60 seconds, and that gives Ghosty ample time to secure that down. And I'm very happy about that. When I have all the killers, and I do jump around a lot between them. I am a killer main, although I do play a lot of survivor. I find that I didn't gravitate toward Ghosty very much. And I didn't because I felt like his mechanics were, like, the way he played was fine, but I just found it difficult to stalk the survivors and then down them in time and stuff like that. And some of that does come with practice, because when I did practice him, I did get a little bit better. But I feel like this is a good change for him. This is a little more fair, and I don't think I'll be playing only trolley games with him anymore. So for the longest time, if I played Ghosty, I was only playing a trolley game. I wanted to teabag, I wanted to do the butt dance, I wanted to help them fix gens. That's what I wanted to do. But with these changes, I think that he's a very viable killer to play. Not that he wasn't really before, he is just kind of difficult. So another thing that they have done is changed some of his add-ons. So they went through his add-ons and realized, hey, these needed a buff. Apparently they did that. I wasn't too familiar with his add-ons beforehand, so I can't really comment on it. I didn't notice a difference in the PTB, although I didn't play around with it all that much, to be honest. But I'm going to take their word for it and say that, yeah, they buffed his add-ons. I don't know, maybe somebody who's more experienced with them can let me know, but apparently they've changed some of them and made them better. So next up for Mr. Ghosty, because yes, there are more changes, we have something kind of interesting. So they've apparently changed revealing him. So maybe you don't want to go off alone around Ghosty anymore. You know, like a horror movie where they say don't split up, don't go off alone, it's dangerous, don't say you'll be right back. Yeah, maybe don't do that with him anymore. So apparently a marked survivor can no longer reveal our Mr. Ghostface, but other survivors still can. So that's where being in a group will be an advantage. Playing the PTB, I didn't find it all that hard to reveal Ghostface or be revealed as him, but I guess time will tell how much that's really changed. It didn't feel like much of a difference to me. I did see a couple comments on, I don't even know where, somewhere, saying exactly the same thing. That didn't feel like much of a change. It's still quite easy to reveal him, but perhaps it's the map that we're playing on. Maybe it's just because Haddonfield has such an open area, although Haddonfield does seem like a good map for stealth killers. At least they seem to be having a lot of luck on it with this BTB. But you know what? Time will tell. Time will tell what'll happen with that. And the last change Ghostface has is actually to his music, to his chase music and terror radius. So now you'll find that he has his own custom music. And, well, I think it's great, and it's a great idea. It's very, how do I describe this? It's very horror movie-esque. It's very horror themed. So when you think of a horror movie and you think of the soundtracks and the music in it, it's that music, you know? That's what it is. And I think that's perfect for him. But there have been some issues with it. So keep in mind the music is different between the killer and the survivor. So the killer is hearing something different than the survivor is hearing, although it's quite similar. The music that is playing during a chase for Ghostface, like as the killer, it's good. It's definitely the right direction, but it's headache inducing. I don't know how else to describe this, and I know other people are feeling the same way. It's got these like high, I don't know anything about music, but it's got like high pitched something, you know, in horror movies where they're like, that kind of, you know, I don't even know what it is, that thing. Yeah, there's a lot of that in it, and it's a lot. So when you're chasing somebody, it's like you don't even want to chase them for very long because you don't want to listen to it. Your brain's just like, no more, please. Done with that. And it's also very loud. I find when they customize the music or they change it up somehow, it ends up getting louder and louder and louder, and it makes it very difficult to even hear survivors. That's not a good thing. As a killer, you're definitely using your hearing to play this game. Like, you're using sounds around you to know what direction they're in, to hear footsteps, to hear them running, to hear the grass rustling, to hear things going off, like gens popping, to hear them injured. You know, you're listening for a lot of things. So a lot of the game is played with your ears. And when you can't hear survivors because of chase music, it kind of defeats the purpose. But, you know, I get it. It is a very tense sound for the killer. I feel like maybe it shouldn't be so suspenseful for the killer, but it is in the right direction. It's good. I think it needs a little bit of tweaking because they're just going to give all of their players a headache. But on the survivor side, it's very good. So the music actually changes depending on how far away you are away from him. Like the terror radius music and then the chase music are two different things, and it builds up. And it's very good until you hit those notes. It's great. It's perfect. I love it. They just need to adjust that a little bit there. So if I could give behavior any notes on anything on this PTB, it's to adjust that. Honestly, that needs some changing. Funny enough, I was actually in somebody's stream the other day, and if you don't know him, he's lovely. Check him out. His name is Ollie Odinson, and he is a lovely guy. But he was playing the PTB, and that's actually the first time I heard the sound. And it was funny because all they could say was, it reminds me of birds, of geese specifically. It reminds me of angry geese. And I laughed so hard at that description because, you know, as a Canadian, it is very true. It does that noise. Sounds like those big angry flying birds, and it's all I can hear now when I'm playing. It's funny, but they need to change it. So Ghostface is not the only killer that's gotten a change. Nope, we have another, our lovely Legion. So Legion has been a staple of this game for a while now, and we don't see a lot of Legion mains, and I think there's a reason for that. Same with Ghosty. They needed a buff. They did. Legion needed a buff. And they got one. So I'm going to be honest with you, just up front here, I don't know how much the changes actually helped. I did play a bit of Legion. I didn't notice too much of a difference. So apparently they've changed it so that when you hit survivors in a frenzy, so if you don't know, the Legion's power is to be frenzied. And when you're frenzied, you move a little faster, you can vault over things fast, and you can hit a survivor, or more than one, to show other survivors' location with, I think it's called Killer Instinct. And then it also puts an effect on the survivors that are hit. You can't down them like that, but it does make them have to mend. And if they don't mend, they will go down. But really, they always end up mending anyways. So they've changed it so that when you're frenzied now, every survivor that you hit gives you a little bit of a speed boost. It's quite small. I think it's like 0.2. And once you've hit all 4 survivors, your 5th hit will actually down a survivor. And, I think in theory this sounds like a good idea, but that is a situation that's very hard to get into because survivors aren't typically all grouped up like that. There's usually at least one of them that's all the way across the map. So I'm not sure how I feel about that one. When I was trying it out in the PTB, I could not get into that situation. I couldn't get to them in time, so I didn't get to see it in action. I would love to. I even played against a couple Legions, and they weren't able to do it either. So I don't know how helpful it is. But, the idea is there. The idea is there. I'm wondering if maybe it would be better to move it down to hit 3 survivors, and then you can down somebody. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I don't think it really makes much of a difference the way it is now. But I agree with that having to be a change. I think that Legion should be able to down a survivor at some point while frenzied. So the next thing that they changed that also has to do with frenzy is the cooldown. So when you frenzy and then you stop, you have this cooldown that you get where you can't do anything. You shake your head and you can't see very well and can't hit or anything like that. I think they call it frenzied fatigue or something along those lines. Anyways, they have changed the duration of that from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, so you have a second difference there. I did notice that while I was playing Legion, and I do appreciate that. I think that helped a lot. And it was still fair. It was a good change, and it made things a little better for Legion, but still fair for survivors and for the fatigue, because you do need to have the fatigue. They've also changed how the cooldown for the frenzy works. Not by much, but it does give the frenzy cooldown a shorter time. It's a shorter cooldown in essence now, because you used to have to wait that 4 seconds for the fatigue to be over, for the bar to start filling back up to recharge for another frenzy, and now it recharges once your frenzy is over. So you do get that 3-second difference now that they've changed it, and I think that also was a pretty fair and good change for Legion. You also find that Legion has its own chase music as well. And yes, this was a great change. I really like this. Apparently they've looked at Legion's add-ons and they've gone ahead and used, they have changed some of them. And again, I'm not too familiar with this add-on, so I didn't notice much of a difference. But one thing that they did change was the mixtape add-ons, and they took inspiration from the name. So now when you put on the mixtape add-ons, you can actually mix and match them to create different music. This is an awesome idea. I'm very excited about this idea. It was brilliant. Great job. I love that. And speaking of Legion's music, it's great. They don't need to change anything. It is a little bit loud, but all of it is. It's a bop. It's great. I love it. I was actually finding myself kind of trying to be around them a little bit because I wanted to hear that music. It's perfect for them. It works so well. I'm all for it. That was a good choice. It was a good choice. So I'm kind of expecting, a soundtrack at some point, right? They're also changing the way that they label the difficulty on characters. I'm not going to dive too much into that. I don't think it's super important to go into. If it's something that you are actually interested in or want to see what they're doing with the changes, I will link the developer notes below so you can check that out yourself. I don't think that they're doing too much of note there, honestly, but it is something that they're doing. So aside from that, we have one more change, and that is to the hemorrhage status effect. So as a killer, you might have come across this before. I know as a killer, I kind of ignored anything with the hemorrhage effect because there are perks that'll help the blood pools be brighter, and it's not that helpful, honestly, because there's scratch marks and noise when they're hurt, and the pools of blood are decent enough already. So I kind of stayed away from the hemorrhage status effect. I used it if I had nothing else or whatever, but it wasn't something I was like, oh yes, give me the hemorrhage status effect. I didn't care, honestly. And I think that they've realized that, so they're changing how it works. So if you don't know what the hemorrhage status effect is, it's when you hit a survivor and they become injured, then they're leaving bigger pools of blood. So it's easier to find them, but they're usually leaving scratch marks and making noise anyways, so... And you're close enough to hit them, you're generally close enough to see all those other things, so... But they've now changed it so that the blood loss is actually making healing regress. And I think they said that it was regressing by like 7% every second or something along those lines. So if you interrupt them healing, that heal doesn't stay anymore if they have that status effect on. And I think that that is an excellent change, and I think that makes a lot more sense for the game and for the status effect. I'm here for that. I like that. That was a good one. So that's it. Those are the changes coming in the upcoming update. I hope you guys enjoyed this News by Daylight, and I will be back with more of these. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the PTB. I would love to hear it. What do you think about Haddonfield? What do you think about the changes? I'll see you next time for some more news, some more talks, and some more spooky fun. If you like these videos, I hope you'll come back and check them out again. Go ahead and drop a like down below and press that subscribe button to get updated for more.